I've had a big problem with Neil Druckmann for a long time, and it's gotta stop. I hated that guy so much up till now, I refuse to play The Last of Us 2, and whenever I think about him, I get pissed off. But if I'm being honest, Neil Druckmann isn't the problem. I am. I started this new direction on YouTube because I wanted to help the gaming community by sharing stories and engaging in fun, productive conversations about games. But recently I've realized I've allowed myself to be influenced by the wrong people and robbed myself of potentially awesome gaming experiences. It's time to let all this go, but that's easier said than done. I loved The Last of Us Part 1. I think it's a masterpiece. So, like a lot of people, when I first saw the teaser for the sequel, of Ellie playing that guitar, surrounded by dead bodies, with Joel walking in, I got excited. Jump ahead a few years, and Los Angeles has turned into COVID lockdown land, and I'm stuck inside watching way too many YouTube videos. Do you remember the leaks? Apparently somebody leaked major story elements from The Last of Us 2 online, and all the YouTubers started making videos about it. And man, that was it for me. I jumped headfirst into that rabbit hole, and I didn't see the sunlight for weeks. You play as Ellie almost the entire game, and some other chick, the CrossFit chick that I saw in the second trailer. Ellie gets her fingers chopped off, Joel gets killed? And who was responsible for all this? Who would do this to such a beloved character like Joel? What woke, lefty, elitist, ideologue activist would dare to stomp all over the player's love of the first game? And who was ultimately causing me to swear I'd never play that abomination known as The Last of Us 2? I can't emphasize enough what a guttural rage I had toward Neil Druckmann for years. Every time I heard his name, I felt this righteous indignation rise up within me. And it felt good. So the years go by. One day a buddy of mine happens to mention that he's just completed The Last of Us 2. And of course I'd say I'd never play that game. When he asks me why, of course you know the answer, my friend had a very gracious response. He said he'd heard about the controversy surrounding the game, but that there was a lot more to it than what I'd heard. He said if I really wanted to know what the game was like, I should play it for myself. And something happened that I didn't expect. I got mad at my friend for suggesting I play The Last of Us 2. And then I felt guilty I'd gotten mad because I didn't know why. I thought about it and I realized I was protecting myself. I didn't want to play The Last of Us 2. Because if I played and it was good, then somehow that meant I could also be wrong about Neil Druckmann. It sounds kind of weird, but in my mind, I associated the game with the guy and just put them both in a box in my mind marked bad and just kind of walked away. And then I got sad. I love video games. I love a good story. I want games to get better, and I want to be part of the conversation that helps them get better. But I'd never even given The Last of Us 2 a chance. And how could I say anything about it one way or the other if I haven't even bothered to play it? Neil Druckmann? I'd let that guy live rent-free in my head for way too long. Whatever his personal views and however he decided to place them in the game, if I wanted to criticize him, I needed to jettison my blind hate and critique his work as a game developer with better tools than somebody else's YouTube videos. Plus, I'd just gotten tired of actively carrying around that much bitterness. So now what? What's something I could do to help me shake off all this junk in my mind? I borrowed it from my brother. I would never spend money on this game. But I mean, I've got it, so... God. Oh my God. Jesus. All right. Let me see if I can collect my thoughts here and give something useful or insightful. There's a lot there. I got to give him credit for that. You know, there's a lot there, and it's there. I mean, it hits you repeatedly in the face, but it's there. You know, it's it's hard to know where to begin. Abby's the main character. Why is Abby the main character? Ellie's not the main character. Abby's the main character. We already know who Ellie is. We know who Joel is. We're reminded of who they are throughout the game with these flashbacks. But Abby's really the main character. That's a heavy lift. This is the main thing about this game. Neil Druckmann wants you to root for Abby, and that's a really heavy lift. If this wasn't a sequel to The Last of Us, that would be a lot easier. But it's the sequel to The Last of Us, right? So you've got a game and a half that you have to overcome with Abby's story, right? And they do everything they can, right? They give her friends. They put her in a place that's similar to Jackson. They have her pet a dog in the first 5 minutes of her story. Like, she's got a dog as one of her companions. They do everything. They give her the transgender kid to take care of. They give her that companionship, right? They give her that I guess she just feels like she's got to take care of these kids because she feels guilty about something. Or whatever kind of person she is. She's broken. They're all broken. We're all broken, Neil. I get it. We're all just broken people. And so they didn't quite get there for me with Abby. I mean, it's the same character. Neil Druckmann gave us half a game. He gave us the first half with Ellie, and then he gave us the exact same game with Abby. It's the same gameplay scenarios. You got friends, you got skill building, you got the environments, you got, but it's the same. They're the same character, right? Moral equivalence. That's what I'm seeing. Moral equivalence. They're the same person, right? Anything you could have against Ellie, you could have against Abby. Anything you like about Ellie, you could have like about Abby. Ellie's gay, by the way. So Abby is like Abby's the main character. Abby has the arc, right? They both have arcs. Ellie has an arc. She has an arc. But I felt like Abby was really the star of the show, Neil Druckmann will put his beliefs fully on display in the work that he does. And you can agree or disagree, but you can't knock him for trying. As an artist, I get it. Like, I will respect that about him. I don't agree with his views. And I think it's something that we've seen a lot of in games today, in pop culture and media today, is there's this killing off of what has come before in order to make room for what people think should be held up in high regard. Like, what's the ideal? It's like a heaven and hell thing, like hell is the island attack, right? The fire, the blazes, everybody killing each other. And heaven is the lesbian couple with their Asian baby, living on a farm in Jackson, Wyoming. Say what you want about what you think about those things. Listen, I'm not going to hide the ball. I'm a Christian. I think that's, I disagree with that lifestyle choice. But you can't deny those are ideals. Those are ideas that Neil wants you to see. He wants to hold those things up in high regard. Because what does Ellie give up? She gives up that life, right? That's supposed to be the lesson, right? The lesson of, if you can't get over it, if you can't forgive, if you can't let it go, if you can't find a way, your life's going to be destroyed. And that's the life that she destroys, that life. Well, that's what I got to say. Those are my first impressions. You better say what you believe, or somebody else is going to say what they believe, and somebody else is going to take that influence and culture from you. Somebody else is going to get their message out, and if you are just going to silently hate somebody, and never speak up, well, don't complain about what happens, you know? When somebody tells you who they are, believe them. And if you want to support this kind of art, if you want to support these kinds of video games, you're free to do that. You're free to buy them, play them, support people who comment on them, watch videos about them, like, comment, share, and subscribe. And if you don't, well, then you should find something else that you believe in, and you should support that. And, because, you know, Neil Druckmann's beliefs are fully on display. And if you like them, you should support them. And if you don't like them, well, then you shouldn't support them. Because, well, that's how things change, you know. I like, you know, it's so depressing. That was so depressing. That was not an enjoyable gaming experience for me. This is just kind of personal stuff. I'll never play that game again. That's not a game that I enjoyed playing. It's what I don't like is that you know, it's you know, it's The Last Jedi, right? It's Luke Skywalker. It's taking characters that we care about, and the artist in whose hands they are, he says, well, I'm going to do this. I'm going to say this with this platform, you know? And, you know, I disagree with, it's just so, like, heavy-handed. It's really just heavy-handed and very blatant. And, you know, in terms of Joel, it's just like, I feel like they sprinkle Joel and Ellie stuff throughout the game to remind you, I guess, just to keep them in mind, you know. And I know they had a relationship, but it was like 10% of the game. It's just so brutal. Like, they kill him in the first hour, you know, and then you're supposed to sympathize with Abby at the end of it. I mean, it's so heavy-handed. Like, they couldn't have tried harder to get their message across, and they just beat you. It's like a golf club to the head, you know, with how they pull on the heartstrings. It's emotional manipulation. It's right in your face, you know. Anyway. Well, whatever I have to say about it now or in the future, at least I've played the game. I played the game. Glad I didn't pay for it. Don't want to support Neil Druckmann's work. Suppose I'll try to find games that I do like, games that have messages that I do agree with. It's just so heavy-handed. It's really sad, too, because it really passes judgment on Joel's actions in the first game. It really does. I appreciate that last scene because that last scene personifies the argument about the first game. It says, this is what her life would have meant. I never would have done anything differently, right? I appreciate that. You know, I'm not going to say that Neil Druckmann's not good at what he does. No, I will say that. I think that this is not... It was not handled well. It was not handled well. Joel was not handled well. Ellie is the villain in this game. Abby is the protagonist. Why was she muscular? I don't get that. I'm not going to try to read into that. I know women who do CrossFit that look like that. It was just a really odd choice. I guess just because she has to do so much physically that it has to be believable that she's able to do that stuff, you know, physically capable of whatever, you know, all the fighting and stuff that I guess they just had to do that. But they had Ellie do it, and she got along just fine. I don't know. Smarter people than myself will probably have more articulated opinions about this thing. And although people like it, not nothing against that. It's a very popular game, very high rated. I don't know. It's just so heavy-handed. Not my favorite. Didn't enjoy it. Didn't enjoy that experience. I did enjoy the gameplay. That's what I'll say. The gameplay and the environments are beautiful, and I really appreciated that design aspect of it. I don't think it's a good thing that this game exists. I don't think the world's a better place. If you've never experienced a lot of life, like if you're young, or maybe if you need to see this kind of stuff to process through trauma or things that you've seen, I understand that. I think there's probably healthier ways to explore these themes of, hate and bigotry and grief and loss and sorrow and PTSD and endless conflict, I guess. That's never going to change. I mean, we can agree on that. I agree with that. That's never going to change. And it's sad, but it's never going to change. There will always be conflict and war, and there will always be a reason to go after somebody, So I don't hate Neil Druckmann. I'm just kind of sad that this game exists. It's so emotionally manipulative. Lord help me.